City of Stevens Point Historic Preservation Design Review Commission meeting, recorded March 24, 2025.
To call the meeting of the Historic Design Review Commission to order for March 24th. It's 5 o'clock. Adam?
Siebert?
Here.
Monk is excused. Christensen?
Here.
Calnan?
Here.
Malevsky is excused. Finn is excused. And Christ.
Here.
All right. 4 members. We got a quorum.
Okay. Excuse me. The report of January 27th, 2025 meeting of the Commission. Like to entertain a motion to accept the minutes or the report.
I so move. Move approval. I'll second.
Second. Thank you. Any changes or comments?
Look good.
Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, number 3, a request from Katie Bingham, representing Michael O'Meara, for a design review to replace an existing window utilizing a different muntin pattern on the property located at 1809 Clark Street. So,
I can give a quick background. So thank you, Chair. So the request before you is to replace about a half dozen windows on the property, on the house here at 1809 Clark Street. These 6 windows would be on the side elevations of the house, so the east-facing and west-facing wall. 5 of the 6 windows proposed to be replaced are a like-for-like replacement in terms of material, color, muntin pattern, which, just for clarification, muntin is the kind of the grids that make up each window pane for folks who are listening on the call. The one exception would be this window on the west elevation, 2nd floor. This is proposed to be still going with the 2x3 muntin pattern, but it's going from an existing window without any muntins at all to one with that 2-3 muntin pattern. I could go at length about this. I think to keep it short, sweet, to the point. One of the things that I really like about this request is that it's achieving overall consistency with muntin patterns for the 1st and 2nd floor windows, still maintaining the 2x3, or as you can see, these front 2 windows, the 3x3 pattern. So trying to establish muntins on all windows and to try to keep an overall pattern for muntins that do exist. So recommendation is to approve. There are, I believe, 2 or 3 conditions on there, pretty self-explanatory, just making sure that when windows are installed, that it's airtight so that there's no moisture retention. So my recommendation is to approve.
okay. Excuse me. Any motion to accept?
I would move approval of that request for approve the design review.
Second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? We don't have anybody, no. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 4, a request from the City of Stevens Point to amend program requirements of the Downtown Facade Improvement Grant Program.
All right. So as folks on the commission recall, this recommendation was included as part of the historic preservation plan that was adopted late last year and resulted in some subsequent conversation that we had last time that we met in late January. So the proposed amendments that's shown on the screen and in the packet are taken from the preservation plan. These would be 4 main items. First being to permit door and window improvements as an eligible improvement by itself. Currently, as you can see within the program description, doors and windows by itself would not be eligible for facade grant dollars. The only instance where those improvements would be eligible is if it's included as part of a broader storefront restoration project, so coupling other improvements as part of a more comprehensive submittal. At least in my experience, there's definitely an increased interest for particularly window replacements for properties downtown, and just cursory review walking downtown. There's a fair share of buildings that do need some work with respect to their windows. So I think this further reduces the red tape and hopefully encourages folks to utilize a grant program for potential window replacements. Second amendment would be focusing on how we prioritize rather, projects when there are more requests submitted for how much money we can provide. And just looking down the road, the financial mechanism used to fund the Facade Improvement Grant Program, TID 6, that expires in the early 2030s. That's not a lot of years from now. So, looking in the foreseeable future, I do anticipate there being a more heightened interest in the Facade Grant Program. So we have to be a little bit more considerate as to how we prioritize the requests that we're bound to see in the future. Just to give one example, right now I'm working with about a handful of folks, about a handful of unique requests for Facade Grant dollars, and coupling those, taking into account the 40%, we're probably exceeding 100,000 right then and there. So this is something that's timely for 2025, but is also going to occur in the future. So for this amendment, in terms of ranking the order of applicants, priority would be given to projects that are also receiving tax credits. Folks that want to receive tax credits as well. The project that's being proposed is generally larger in scale because you're utilizing two funding mechanisms to support that project. So if it's down to choosing one over the other, you'd rather focus on the project that's larger in scale. Third amendment is to amend the timeline to complete the project. Currently, this is part of the Facade Grant contract. The project has to be completed within 12 months. Depending on the type of project, 12 months is just not realistic given labor shortages, given supply challenges to a degree, but again, more so labor to try to fulfill the work, especially if you're working with, say, a full storefront restoration. It takes time, right? And so the proposal is to tweak that timeline from 12 months to 18 months. And then the last one, and this is one where I'm thinking there's probably going to be a more substantive discussion amongst the group. When we talked when we talked last year about the preservation plan, there was an interest from this commission in tweaking the approval process for granting, providing grant dollars. And specifically, the request was to have staff allow staff a greater ability to review and approve facade grant requests in lieu of going before a commission. And so there's a couple options at your disposal. I think there's about three. One would be maintain the status quo. Any facade grant request has to go before this commission for consideration. Second option would be kind of the complete opposite, where I review all grant requests. If I believe all standards are met, I can sign off on it. I will make one note. Most facade grant requests, the project associated with that funding request would have to go before this commission anyways by way of a design review. So it's not like you folks are going to be slighted from reviewing it in any way, shape, or form. So that's a second option. And the third option is, and I include this in the memorandum, is grant dollars would be awarded with sign off by myself and the commission chair. So happy to hear thoughts. If there's a general consensus and if action is taken tonight, I will note that this isn't the only sort of approval that's needed. This would go before our finance committee and council when deemed appropriate. So,
one question, 18 months enough? Should it be more? Like 20? I don't know.
I mean,
given like the weather now,
yeah,
things just come to a halt.
Yeah, so I did 18 months. Two reasons. One, keep it clean, year and a half versus
open-ended.
1 and
Okay, I was just curious.
And the second reason too is, say a project gets awarded in springtime. You have 5 months of good weather to work on it, comes to a halt. Adding that additional 6 months at least extends the project into the following warm season. By then, hopefully it should be good.
Yeah.
The project should be done.
Okay. Sir.
And they'll still have the ability to request an extension from the commission if absolutely required.
Correct.
Yeah, so you'd have that. But I think it would, it'll decrease the number of times that we'll have to take those into consideration. I think
Yes.
it's probably a pretty thoughtful recommendation.
So,
I'm-
go ahead.
Go ahead, Barry.
No.
Okay. I would just question you on that second proposal, where you, as the staff, look at the requests. I see that as being very positive, because you are going to be definitely more involved on a day-to-day basis than just bringing it to the council and saying, hey, what do you think? So, I mean, that would be my suggestion. The only other thing I would ask is, the third suggestion, you said to bring it to the chair after that for approval. Does that speed it up for you, or is, because I don't want to make it more work, but it seems like the second one would be the better choice, just because you have that, you'll have the knowledge of the projects going on and the requests. Then bringing it to this group through the last step, which is the funding, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, in terms of the timeline to receive, or the timeline to review, quickest route would be staff review. Second option in terms of length of time would be the commission chair. It definitely would be a shortened time to review versus that of going before the commission, the status quo.
Yes.
So long as Tim or future chairs are not on vacation for an extended period of time. And if that's the case, we have a vice chair for a reason.
Right.
So it will,
Okay.
it would shorten it up for sure.
Well, yeah.
I guess I would argue a second pair of eyes might be beneficial. I don't know.
I think a second pair of eyes is beneficial.
Okay,
I also
so you're
think that
suggesting the third.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also like the idea of it kind of covers you too, so you're not making that decision unilaterally.
Yeah.
So if all of a sudden you make a decision and somebody's unhappy, then they can make it, well, it's just because so-and-so or whatever. If there's two different people, then I think that helps alleviate and address that. So I like all the recommendations, but on that one, I don't think it will take that much more time to run it by the chair, the commission chair,
Okay.
briefly. And so I think I like the idea of things being able to move more quickly. I think when people have a project, they don't want to wait until the commission gets together again. If they just had a meeting and it's going to delay things by a whole month, they want to make hay while the sun shines. So that would be my recommendation.
I will add is, I mentioned this in the report, if there would be any waivers requested by an applicant, waivers from our Facade grant program, then it would be kicked before this commission.
Yeah.
So even if Tim and I have the ability to review and sign off on it, if there's any waivers and the applicant is adamant that's the route they want to go, it would get kicked back before you folks.
Yep.
So it's not like you're going to be absolved of any review
No.
whatsoever.
And all major work besides will automatically go to the commissions.
Right.
Correct.
My whole purpose of bringing that up is it just sounds like a great idea to move things along quicker for the process of this, because I know, as you do, there's quite a few people downtown that really would like to do something.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, they're stopped before they even start, so.
The other question I had was if we move it, the second one, right? It was the moving from 1 year to 18 months. If they need an extension, does that change the wording of your extension, or extensions, like if it's for a year, do you know, I guess I just wouldn't know. Do you just normally extend it for a year? Do you extend it for 6 months? Is it case by case? Do they ask for a certain amount of time? And then we just grant them however much time they think they need?
Good question. So in the past, we would grant an additional 12 months. So the same duration, we would just
Okay,
tack it
so
on
then
again.
would you then want it to be in 18 additional months? Because then you'd be going out 3 years. I mean, if you're doing any kind of project that's trying to make money, 3 years is a long way, and a long construction process to, I'm not saying that they would. They're going to try to build it as quickly as they can within their time constraints. But, if you add another 18 months, it doesn't it just, for me, it just seems like it would be an extraordinarily long time for any construction project to go on for 3 years.
Yeah, for accountability's sake, I think it would seem appropriate to do 6 months unless otherwise approved by the commission, right?
Yeah.
That would at least capture any unique requests that, things come up, you have the ability to provide more than 6 months. But it keeps them, the applicant, honest, right? If they're going to get city funds, they best be sure to be using that appropriately and completing the project in a timely manner. So.
Do we have to put that in here, say a
Yeah, so
6-month extension?
I know we didn't do a motion yet, but when whoever would make a motion, if the motion is to approve, I'd like the condition addressing that, plus 6 months unless otherwise approved by the commission, and then making it clear as a second condition that in terms of reviewing and approving grant applications, it would be myself and the commission chair.
Okay.
Yep.
With that said, anybody have a motion with those conditions that he's talking about?
I would put forward a motion to approve with the 2 conditions that have just been discussed.
Okay. Second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okey dokey. Where am I here? Staff update. Designation of properties onto the National Register.
Yeah, so I included the email from our State Historic Preservation Office representative discussing some changes for certified local governments as it relates to the review and approval process for designations onto the National Register of Historic Places. Really, the backstory is current process right now is this commission is not legally obligated to make a vote or provide an opinion statement. In the past, however, I've taken such requests before you guys just for drafting an opinion statement to provide the State Historic Preservation Office, right? 90% of the time, the request would be to approve the designation, so at least having a letter of support from the commission as a feather in the cap for that request going through state and federal approvals. So with this change, they're requiring us as a municipality to codify an ordinance 2 things. One, that you as a commission would be required to make a determination as to approving or denying the national designation request. And then the second one being that the chief executive officer for the municipality, this would be the mayor, that they would also have to provide a letter of support or a letter of opposition. So next month, I did work with you folks last week on establishing the date. That will be next month, Wednesday, April 16th at 5 will be the public hearing for considering that ordinance amendment, so including what I just described in ordinance. If approved, that will be on the April council agenda. So I'll explain more about this next month, but that's just wanted to give you folks a heads up since that's coming down the pipeline.
Okay.
This is on the 16th. When is the council meeting?
21st.
21st.
Third Monday.
Okay.
So. What does that sound?
Is this
Does the city have Easter Monday off?
We have Good Friday.
Good Friday, so okay, because that would be Easter Monday, that's what I'm
Correct.
just thinking, okay. All right.
Is this to standardize the language to the whole state? Is that what this is for? Or?
I don't know necessarily to standardize it. I think it's to compel the municipality to provide an opinion on the matter, because currently you as a commission and the mayor are not required to provide any commentary on the request. Last designation request being the convent building, we brought that request before you folks to provide a letter of support, but that wasn't required. So I think it's forcing the municipalities to
Local input.
provide input, yeah.
So like right now, you could just, like, I have an old house, I can just go and say I want it on the historical board, and there's no, it just is because it's old kind of thing?
So all the review would be on the state, through the
Okay.
State Historic
All done at the
Preservation
state
Office.
level.
This commission would have no say whatsoever.
Okay.
And they still ultimately make the decision, but now they just want to get input from the local.
Correct.
Anything further? Okay. I guess that's it. We be adjourned.
It's exhausting.
5:20.
Oh, boy.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.